welcome back to the channel. Before we start today's story, tell me in the comments where are you watching from and what time is it right now. I want to see where the bravest viewers come from. My name is Derek, truck driver. Over 10 years on the road. Simple work, loading, carrying, unloading. When I can save time, I do. I nap on the curb, bad coffee, and the road ahead. This happened crossing New Mexico to Arizona. Loading of empty coils. Dry night, no fog, light crosswind. I had chosen a shortcut to reach the main highway further ahead. The map said it would work, almost on in the morning. After a long time without seeing any headlights, things started to get strange. First, I noticed 3 flags in the shoulder, one of those low-burning ones in a line near a service entrance. There was no construction warning on the GPS. I followed. A little further on, the asphalt had new brands, as if they had pulled studs and covered in a hurry. Nothing that prevented it, but it stuck in my head. Someone had been messing with the track. Up ahead, the road passed through Ashort Tunnel, dug into a dry hill. No shoulder inside, only a single lane to each side and poor lighting. Before the tunnel, a sign warned reduce, curve and tunnel. So far, so good. That's when I saw, in the middle of the lane, a stopped car with the hood raised. No triangle. 2 lanterns flashing around, with people walking alongside. From the reflection on the metal, you could tell 3 people. One of them waved her arm, asking me to decrease. My hand went to the hazard lights on its own, but my head said, no. I glanced at their rearview mirror into the shoulders of the road. To the right, a narrow dirt entrance like a service area. To the left, an empty oncoming lane. I heard a click dry on the radio. Silly interference, could be coincidence. Even so, my neck was hot. I took my foot off, but I didn't stop. I turned on the high beam to see beyond the parked car. In the background, inside the tunnel, lit a LED bar very strong at the height of a windshield. Too high for a small car. If I stopped because of the broken down car, I would be stuck between that and the tunnel with lights. Trap. I engaged the right gear for torque and held it 30 miles. Enough to follow, but with control. I passed the car with the hood open, stuck to the opposite lane, honking briefly. One of the guys took 2 steps toward me and backed away. Another shone his flashlight on my mirror. I didn't look away. When I lined up the mouth of the tunnel, the LED bar went out, and in its place I saw the front of a SUV big sideways, across near the exit. Right behind, another SUV with low beams, perpendicular, waiting for the moment to enter and complete the blockade. I was seconds away from being boxed. I didn't take my foot off. On the radio, I heard static again. I ignored it. I kept the axis right in the center, steady hand, eye on every shadow on the concrete. In the middle of the tunnel, the first SUV turned on the LED bar again, straight into my eyes, trying to make me brake reflexively. I counted 1, 2 on the tooth, and I didn't brake. The SUV in front began to move slowly, as if it were going to open a path and then close it again in my face. The one behind me moved sideways to catch me as I got out. I did the opposite of the obvious. Instead of going to the bigger space, I aimed at the smallest, between the nose of the first SUV and the tunnel wall. There was no clearance. It was a calculated risk. If I got it right, I would pass rubbing without stopping. The engine screamed. I held my breath. The bumper caught lightly at the corner of the SUV, metal echoed on concrete. The truck vibrated. The exit rectangle jumped out at me. The second SUV tried to close too late. It was taken for an instant in the movement of the first. 2 left of the tunnel. As soon as I felt the sky open, I gave set and I entered a dirt area before a Clover Simple. I stopped from the front onto the track, engine running, parking brake on. These maneuvers are the kind that either work the first time or you become a statue. My heart was pounding in my throat. 2 seconds later, the 2 SUVs came out of the tunnel, one with the light bar still on. They didn't follow me into the dirt area. They went straight ahead, slowing down as if Toto look and mark the truck. When they left, I made a short U-turn and went back a few 2 miles the way I had come. I took a small roundabout and entered a road that the map showed us still access. I just wanted people and camera. At the counter, I paid and asked the attendant to call the highway patrol. I didn't say it out loud. I summarized: attempted blockade in the tunnel, Two SUVs, bright lights, parked car attracting attention. The guy looked at me with the expression of someone who had heard something like this before. He gave me receipt with time and gate and pointed to the security booth phone. As I spoke, I felt hands I would tremble. I ran my tongue over my tooth, and all that came out was the taste of powdered bottled coffee. The police car arrived quickly. The police asked lot, time, distance, approximate color of the vehicles. If I heard a shot, I didn't. If someone threw something, no. If there was people on foot, 3 in the broken-down car. They asked evidence. I didn't have dashcam turned on that night. What I had was toll receipt with exact time just after the tunnel. Truck telemetry marking peak rotation and speed drop inside the tunnel. You can pull it into the company's system. Branson the left bumper. New scratch, still with fine dust stuck to it. The sergeant wrote everything down. He said they would check it out. Toll cameras and license plate readings in the region. He commented quietly that in recent weeks reports had appeared of Sandwich with SUVs close to Clovers and short tunnels. One car attracts, the other 2 close, the driver brakes, and they go off the track. Whoever enters the tunnel thinking they will solve the problem inside stays no escape. He guided me to follow the route principle, no shortcuts that morning. I took the main road, drove until a large post, white light, trucks sleeping in a row. I parked, turned it off, and leaned my head back. It took me a long time to get the noise of the LED bar out of my mind. In the morning, I sent the report to the company with the coordinates and asked the fleet team download telemetry of the passage. The supervisor responded with print from the graph. You can see the turning up in the middle of the tunnel and the speed falling just a little, a sign that the center didn't brake strong. This might save someone in the future. Proof that bright light in the face is no reason for you to give up. I don't know who they were. I don't know if they wanted to load, truck, or driver. I learned another way to recognize something wrong. When I see it misplaced flagging too many people, where there shouldn't be anyone, I don't stop. I confirm on the map, I confirm with common sense, and I only touch with vehicle in the area or camera nearby. Short tunnel at dawn, with too many lights on the other hand. It is not a scenario to be a hero. It is a setting for to spend. My name is Tyler, and if there's one thing I've learned from driving a truck, it's that the most real fear doesn't come from ghosts. It comes from people. It was late fall, and I was carrying a light load of auto parts from Little Rock, Arkansas, heading to Topeka, Kansas. Simple stretch, 8 hours of travel, but I wanted to get ahead of time to deliver it that morning. The mistake was not getting enough sleep. Between one cold coffee and another, I started hearing a metallic click coming from the side of the trailer, something like vibrating iron. I stopped at the first disabled weighing station I saw, just to check. Dark, silent, a broken sign swaying in the wind. I went down with my flashlight and checked the axle. No leaks, no flat tires. As I was about to climb back up, I noticed a small device with a magnet stuck underneath the structure, flashing a dim red light. I removed the object and realized it was a Keep GPS tracker, just like the one sold online. It sent chills down my spine. I quickly climbed in, put the device back in the dashboard, and continued on my way. It hadn't been 15 minutes before I noticed 2 constant headlights in the rearview mirror, maintaining a fixed distance. Deserted road, light rain. Everything pointed to coincidence. Even the car behind turned on the high beam for a few seconds, 3 times in a row, almost like a traffic light. I slowed down, changed lanes, and the car did the same. The road seemed endless. I thought about pulling over, but then remembered the tracking device. That was no coincidence. I picked up the radio and called Channel 19. This is Tyler. Stretch of US 71 North, anyone listening? A driver answered, telling me, proceed to the old Overton scale, that there were active cameras due to renovation. I kept up the pace and kept checking my mirror. The sedan behind me continued. In front, a pickup Azulet appeared out of nowhere and started slowing down, as if trying to block me. I recognized the trick. One pulls forward, the other comes up behind. I downshifted and remained calm. When the pickup truck turned on an amber strobe on its roof like a maintenance vehicle, I realized their plan was to force me to stop. They were pretending to be from the highway. I had about 3 miles to go to the scale. I slammed the truck into the passing lane and accelerated until the engine screamed. The pickup truck tried to keep up, but it was too heavy. The sedan was still behind, flashing its headlights to blind me. I managed to pull into the scale exit at the last minute, tires screeching on the wet asphalt. Inside the courtyard, the lights from the cameras reflected off the rain. I parked and turned on the alert. A night security guard came out of the building with a flashlight and reflective cape. When he saw my condition, he radioed the police. While we waited, pickup and sedan passed straight through along the highway, without slowing down. No sirens, no flashing lights. I showed the tracker to the security guard. He looked at it and said he had already seen it 2 identical cases that month. According to him, the tactic was simple. Someone plants the tracking device in a discrete location, relays the location to a group that intercepts the truck hours later, pretending to be traffic authorities. Everything happens quickly, and the driver usually pulls over, thinking it's an inspection. The police arrived 20 minutes later. They conducted a thorough search, noting the license plates of the reported cars, but knew they were unlikely to catch the perpetrators. "These guys switch vehicles at every stop," said the sergeant. In the yard, I saw another truck driver smoking in silence. He approached and mentioned that days before they had taken half a load of appliances using the same method. They planted a tracking device at the station, followed at a distance and intercepted, pretending to be performing runway maintenance. No one saw anything on the cameras. It was a growing scam, silent, and nearly perfect. I stayed there until the sun began to appear on the horizon, my body crying out for rest but my brain running on high alert. After that day, I changed my habits. Every time I stop, I sweep the trailer with a flashlight and magnet. I inspect axle by axle. I check each seal before driving. I also started installing a bumper camera, pointing backward, and a side inspection light to detect metallic reflections under the chassis. I avoid parking in abandoned areas and never pull over at the direction of a civilian vehicle, even with a strobe. The company issued an internal warning urging the same caution. The road is long and the unease lingers. You never know who's really watching you or for how long. To this day, I keep the tracker in an envelope with my travel reports, just to remind myself that luck is also part of the job. If I hadn't stopped in the right place, my name might have been just another missing cargo entry. On the road, we learn that true terror neither screams nor runs. It follows you silently, at the same pace as your wheels. Sometimes I think I still see the headlights of that sedan, far away, blinking in the fog. It could just be memory, or it could be someone testing my reaction again. Either way, I keep the radio on and my foot steady, because fear, once it learns its way, always finds the same driver twice. My name is Travis. I've been on the road since 2005, living more on the road than at home. It happened in the winter of 2019, one early morning on I-80 between Cheyenne and Sydney. I was towing a dry van loaded with mid-value electronics. Nothing super high risk, but good enough to draw the attention of cargo thieves. Light snow, crosswinds, asphalt as hard as glass. I know that highway well. I know how it can turn into a trap when the temperature drops and traffic vanishes. I left Cheyenne around 2 a.m., after a weak coffee and a sandwich I should have refused. The plan was to cross the open stretch and stop only on the Nebraska side for a quick rest. The way station was closed, and the central station was dead. Just noise. Everything was too quiet. About 40 minutes later, I saw 2 things that didn't add up. A portable electronic turn signal pointing toward the shoulder of a small farm road, as if indicating a detour, and, about 200 meters ahead, 3 poorly positioned orange cones, 2 lying down, 1 standing upright. No construction lights, no maintenance truck, nothing. Just the blinking turn signal, snow covering everything. I slowed down, tested the engine brake, and stayed alert. As I passed the cones, a dark SUV flashed an amber light bar on its roof and emerged from the darkness behind me. They weren't blue or red, they were amber. It could have been maintenance, it could have been anything. The SUV stuck to my bumper and flashed long flashes, then came to my left and stood parallel, waving its light bar as if signaling to stop. The driver was wearing a reflective vest. Through the window, he made a circular hand gesture. Pull over. I've seen road rage. Even so, there are things that catch you by the reflex of someone trying to avoid trouble. I turned on my turn signals, pulled over to the shoulder, but didn't stop completely. I let the truck slide slowly in neutral, one eye on the mirror, the other on the blind spot mirror. The SUV pulled up in front of me sideways, amber lights still on. The guy got out of the car holding a clipboard. He had no visible badge, just his vest. He knocked on my door and shouted, his voice lost in the wind. Something about a temporary detour because of black ice ahead. He told me to back up to the side road, just for about 2 miles. I stood still, window half open, just enough to hear. I asked for an ID. He held up the clipboard as if that proved something. He persisted, impatient, pointing back at the electronic turn signal. That's when I noticed a second silhouette, crouched behind my trailer, near the airlines. A figure in a dark jacket, a tight hood, gloves. A dry metallic noise came from the system. Tick. I glanced at the gauges, a barely perceptible drop in pressure in the trailer's circuit. It wasn't normal. I need to check the brakes, I said loudly, as if I were going to obey the detour. I rolled down the window a little more, left my hand outside, shivering from the cold, and pretended to look for something in my coat pocket. The guy in the vest told me to stay in the cab, saying he'd help steer. He took 2 steps to the side as if he were going around the bumper, but he kept his eyes on me. The figure under the trailer moved again. The pressure gauge danced, then came back, then danced. It was as if someone was fiddling with the throttle or opening the bleeder valve to force me to stop again later. When I turned onto the small road and ran out of room to maneuver, I took a deep breath and switched on the work lights on the horse's back, the ones I almost never use. The unexpected brightness washed over the asphalt and, for a second, revealed the hood and the glint of long pliers near the lines. The crouched man shrank and rolled under the axle out of the light. The one in the vest turned his head quickly, his mask lost for a moment. It wasn't the face of someone who works for the government. It was the face of someone hoping you won't notice. I didn't argue. I pushed in the clutch, threw the gear stick, released it slowly, and gave a long, thick honk. The truck shuddered, roared, and began to move. The guy in the vest yelled, "Freeze there," and ran toward the SUV. I kept the steering wheel steady, pulled back into the center lane just enough to pass without crushing anyone, and drove respectfully, without spinning. In my mirror, I saw the figure emerge from under my trailer and disappear into the woods. The SUV turned on its amber flashing light again and followed, this time with a vengeance. I called 911. I gave the basics: approximate mileage, road conditions, description of the SUV, attempted stop, possible tampering with the airlines. As I spoke, the SUV pulled up to my left, right next to me, trying to push me onto the shoulder, a crazy thing to do on a road that felt like soap. I didn't argue. I maintained a steady speed, no heroics, and let the truck do what it does best: keep straight. The operator asked me to hold my course and warned me that a highway patrol car was 15 minutes away. About 2 miles ahead, the farm road reappeared, this time with a road closed sign on the ground. There were no maintenance tracks in the fresh snow. What was there, barely visible beneath the white layer, were straight diagonal shadows from one shoulder to the other. I only saw it because my headlights hit it at a good angle. Spike strips, improvised. If I had followed the detour, I would have gone right in there. 4 flat tires in the dark, a motionless truck, 2 people knowing every inch of that side road. The kind of scenario where no one listens to their radio. I alerted the 911 to what I'd seen, keeping my eyes on the road. The SUV tried one last time, even rear-ending me as if it were going to perform a homemade pit stop, but gave up when a set of real lights, blue and red, appeared behind, growing rapidly. They cut through the median and disappeared toward a farm driveway, their amber lights still flashing like those of an SUV. The patrol car caught up with me 2 minutes later. I didn't stop there for the safety of the shoulder. We agreed on a stop at a truck stop up ahead. When I finally parked, a police officer checked my equipment. The pressure had stabilized. Nothing obvious in the lines, perhaps a botched or interrupted attempt. He took notes and asked me cool businesslike questions as expected. They registered a report with a protocol number and informed me that they would forward the case to the Cargo Investigation Department. They did not give a return date. I didn't sleep a wink during that break. I kept thinking about the small choices that make a difference. Not opening the door for someone without a badge, turning on a work light, trusting the dancing needle. I also thought about how someone wastes time setting up crooked cones, turning on an electronic turn signal, scattering nails diagonally, waiting for the right truck with the right load, passing by when the traffic light is silent and the wind covers footprints. I got back on the road at dawn with the roads busier and the sun trying to pierce the white sky. I did what every trucker does when something almost goes wrong. I reviewed what I could control and accepted the rest. I swapped my habit of stopping on the shoulder for going straight to a lighted gas station, even if it means wasting time. I started photographing signs and people telling me to pull over.